Glory to Ukraine, I'm Oleg Christofa, and this is a story for adults. Subscribe to our channel and support us on Patreon. May 2019. HBO's miniseries is coming to world screens. Chernobyl. The 5-part film details the first minutes and days after the largest man-made disaster of our time, and also the trial of those accused in it. Critics praised the series, but most importantly, it broke all viewing records in months, even surpassing Game of Thrones. Only Russia was dissatisfied. They claimed the series defames Soviet reality. It wasn't like that at all, they said. Ukrainian historian Serhiy Plokhy, however, highly praised the series. Meanwhile, May 1st, 1986. Ukraine. The Communist Party's Central Committee brings hundreds of thousands, including children, to May Day parades. It starts to rain. With the water, radioactive cesium, strontium, and plutonium fall on people's heads. No one warned them of the danger. The day before, there were only brief reports about the Chernobyl accident, treating it as a minor incident. The Chernobyl nuclear plant, built in the 70s per Soviet directives, was just 110 kilometers from Kyiv. Despite safety violations, it aimed to bring peaceful atom to every home, which it did, literally.
Втілити в життя комуністичне гасло «Мирний атом у кожний дім» і виконала це завдання буквально.
The USSR began developing peaceful nuclear energy as a military atom byproduct. In 1954, they launched the first nuclear plant with only 5 MW capacity. Soon, nuclear plants sprouted across the Soviet Union like mushrooms, with typical disregard for safety. Almost all plants were equipped with RVP-1000 reactors. The reactor's designer deemed it ultra-reliable, even suggesting installation in Moscow's Red Square. Sadly, his warnings went unheeded. They also ignored the USSR's nuclear inspector after his Kursk plant inspection. He warned that RVP-1000 reactors were dangerous. The same reactor was installed in Chernobyl. The Communist Party and Soviet government decided to mass-build nuclear plants, making nuclear energy a top priority industry. Nuclear facilities had improved supplies, higher wages, and other benefits, crucial in a country of scarcity. So people flocked to nuclear plants by any means. They were far from peaceful atomic energy. Anatoly Hrytsak, Chain Reaction, Mirror Weekly. A new specialty gains popularity: nuclear plant equipment. It opens, for example, at the Odessa Flour Milling Institute, later moving to the Refrigeration Institute. That's Odessan humor for you. In the USSR, nuclear plants had issues beyond just staffing, but also management. Initially, the Ministry of Medium Machine Building handled their construction and operation. This complex acronym hid the ministry tasked with producing nuclear weapons. Then came optimization, with plant operations handed to the Energy Ministry, while the Machine Building Ministry kept all the secret nuclear tech. This duality quickly yielded negative results. For instance, former thermal plant workers, despised as steam engines by the machine builders, were appointed to top nuclear plant positions. As some researchers conclude, the Chernobyl accident was not accidental. On the night of April 26, 1986, the city of Privat in Kyiv region was warm and calm. Few knew that an experiment was being conducted at the nuclear plant a few kilometers away during the planned shutdown of the fourth reactor. Suddenly the ground shakes and several explosions are heard one after another over the station. The night sky glows as fire truck sirens pierce the silence. The destruction was massive. The reactor's multi-ton lid flew up, broke through the fourth unit's roof, and fell back vertically. The first casualties were reported almost immediately.
Sadly, some of those people died. One of them, I must mention, was Toptunov. We studied at the same institute. He passed away at the 6th clinic in Moscow. The funeral was at the medical cemetery. His mother visited our station on March 4th with Karenchuk's daughter. Karenchuk was the operator.
Firefighters arrived quickly and began extinguishing the fire in the destroyed reactor's workshops. They succeeded. By 5 a.m., smoke in all halls was eliminated. Only radioactive graphite trails remained. Firefighters stopped the blaze at the cost of their lives. 5 firefighters died in May from radiation sickness. The fire chief, Leonid Telyatnikov, survived until 2004. He died of cancer. Viktor Kluchko, local KGB head, arrived 20 minutes post-explosion. I arrived. The hall's roof was on fire. The 4th block had sunk from 73 meters to about 45. Kluchko had warned the KGB about station issues the day before. But the KGB was busy fighting bourgeois nationalists and ignored the warnings. On April 26th evening, a USSR Council of Ministers commission arrived in Pripyat. They found the station lacked even basic radiation measuring equipment.
Such confusion was noticeable even in small things. I recall the early days in Pripyat when the government commission was there. We lacked essential protective gear, respirators, personal dosimeters, TLDs, and even basic radiation counterpens. Valery Legasov on the Chernobyl disaster.
The main goal was to stop reactor burning to prevent a chain reaction. Military aircraft and tons of lead were used. We made quick decisions to contain the spread of radioactivity by creating the first protective barrier. It was decided to attack the reactor from above. The operation didn't go smoothly. Helicopters. A heavy bag fell, breaking the 3rd unit's roof. Despite issues, by mid-May, smoke stopped coming from the reactor. Evacuation from Pripyat was discussed on April 26th, but only happened chaotically the next day. The bus convoy evacuating women and children stretched 12 kilometers. Rumors of a terrible accident spread through Kiev. Officials stayed silent, moving their families away from Kiev. Only after a futile, rainy protest did panic grip Pechersk Hills and the Kremlin.
At the first meeting on May 2nd at the plant, they warned of a possible second explosion with a 500 kilometers impact zone. Within 30 kilometers, nothing would survive. That's when I encountered completely opposite reactions from different people. Some refused to work due to the high health risks. To avoid Chernobyl, they checked into hospitals. Masol, 1986, head of USSR State Plan, interview with Fakti.
On May 5th, the USSR Council of Ministers prepared to evacuate Kiev. It didn't happen. They settled for a 30-kilometer exclusion zone. A vast area became a permanent wasteland. The West learned of the Chernobyl accident the next day. Sweden detected a sudden spike in radiation levels. The radioactive cloud even reached America. The USSR kept it secret until the end. On May 14th, 19 days post-disaster, USSR leader Gorbachev made a statement. You know of the recent Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster.
A disaster struck. The Chernobyl nuclear accident. It deeply affected Soviet citizens and shocked the world.
Around the leaking reactor, they brought in thousands of liquidators.
It was truly massive heroism. Not a single person refused to serve or tried to dodge even the toughest, most serious tasks.
Some party officials could skip Chernobyl, others couldn't. The cleanup was done mostly by hastily mobilized workers. The invisible front, as the party press aptly called it. Exact count unknown, but over 500,000 liquidators for sure. Some got high radiation doses, others multiple visits and perks. He's got 45 rems, I've got 40 rems, it's fine.
Okay, so annual doses, right? 5 Roentgens is the annual dose, that's the thing. It was on the 5th, and on May 6th, an order came to ban everything above that. No one was to write more than 25 Roentgens. These dosimetrists who already, well, what can I say? It's forbidden. All 25 and no more, but they wrote 245, 248, 249 for everyone.
In May of '86, USSR leaders decided to keep Chernobyl plant running. They built a shelter, the sarcophagus, over the ruined reactor. The shelter's design was fairly straightforward. It was built on what remained after the explosion. These beams B1 and B2 were laid, and walls were built: Pioneer, Cascade, and Buttress. The Cascade wall had special machines that raked radioactive debris from the explosion. A metal shell was placed, concrete poured, forming our cascade wall you can see there. Back then, risky construction had to finish by a specific date, the anniversary of the 1917 revolution. The rush led to new tragedies, like the Mi-8 helicopter crash with its crew. A man died of radiation sickness after being forced to plant a red flag on the 4th reactor. Meanwhile, a show trial of those deemed responsible took place. Several power plant workers, including its leadership, were in the dock. The court found guilty and sentenced Viktor Bryukhanov, plant director, 10 years, Nikolai Fomin, chief engineer, 10 years, Anatoly Dyatlov, deputy chief engineer, 10 years, Alexei Kovalenko, reactor chief, 3 years, Yuri Lavushkin, state inspector, 2 years, Boris Rogoshkin, shift supervisor, 5 years. Years passed and the causes of the 20th century's worst man-made disaster were revealed. Let's review.
April 27th, 1988, second anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster. Academician Valery Legasov, Disaster Commission member and Chernobyl report co-author, found dead in his office. Official version, suicide. Allegedly depressed, though friends and family noticed no mood changes. He joked often and planned a fishing trip recently. Police found a tape recorder near the body. The tape discussing accident causes was erased. Chernobyl taught the communist empire nothing. The plant ran until 2000, closed only due to international pressure. Pressure focused on dangerous reactors, which the designer proposed installing in Red Square. In summer 1986, Vienna IAEA reviewed initial Chernobyl accident findings. The USSR stubbornly argued its case. They claimed staff negligence caused the accident. Later revealed, even the USSR doubted this version. At a secret meeting of the Politburo of the CPSU Central Committee, they recognized a completely different situation. The accident was a consequence of the premature termination of theoretical research on reactor safety, which made the RBMK potentially dangerous. The primary responsibility for this lies with the state leadership, the leadership of the Academy of Sciences, and the leadership of the Ministry of Medium Machine Building. The reactor's physics and design, including its control and protection system, did not exclude the possibility of a power surge in certain operational situations during industrial use. The scientific supervisor and chief designer of the reactor are guilty of this. The developer of the test program and the personnel of the Chernobyl NPP, whom the chief designer failed to warn about the RBMK's ability to self-accelerate in certain situations, putting the reactor in a potentially dangerous mode. The blame lies with the chief designer, the management of the operating organization, and the Chernobyl NPP management. Protocol of the meeting of the Politburo of the CPSU Central Committee, July 3, 1986. The incident is top secret. Despite knowing the real causes, the USSR defended dangerous reactors until the end. Only in 93 post-USSR did IEA revise its view the reactor design was flawed, not the staff. Admitting the true cause risked not just prestige but huge financial losses. Note, Russia still uses old RBMK reactors, posing risks even to Ukraine. Dangerous reactors operate on the Disna and Sejm river banks. Chernobyl proved nuclear accidents know no borders. Beyond the new shelter, Chernobyl symbolizes the end of industrial civilization, which saw humans as evolution's peak, a new god replacing the old. Ignorance of history doesn't absolve responsibility. If you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, and support us on Patreon. That's all for now.